speaking about your neighbor. It will be picked up by mics, just so you know, so there's not any open mic issues. So you continue to talk nice things, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that it is streaming, even though we haven't called it to order yet. It's okay. I hate to be. No, no. You pick up the phone, too. Okay, I will call the Southbury Board of Selectmen meeting March 7th, 2024 to order at 7 p.m. If we could have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America.
Okay, I may have some difficulty with this mic. It's a little loud. Our tech people will make sure that is good. That's much better, thank you. Okay, next up is public comment. This is limited to 2 minutes if you'd like to make a public comment. Please come up and tell us who you are and where you live, and limit it to 2 minutes. Would anybody like to make public comment?
Hello, everybody.
Is the green button on?
It's a green button on the bottom of the right.
I'll turn that.
Thanks.
And you don't have to get close to it. It's very sensitive.
Okay.
Try that.
There she is. Can you hear me? I can hear myself.
Yeah.
Katie Richards, 750 Southford Road. You guys probably know me already. I wanted to briefly address the board for a follow-up on last month's request regarding the crosswalk issue on Route 67 and the Larkin State Park Trail. There are currently 603 petition signatures, so I feel I owe them an update as well. I really appreciate that the selectmen have taken this issue up. I know you are all quite busy, especially with budget planning taking up a significant portion of your time. A quick note, just a few weeks ago, I actually attempted to cross on foot after waiting quite a while. The only car that finally stopped was a Southbury police officer. As I started to cross, it was apparent that the opposite oncoming car was still not slowing down. The officer had to turn on his lights and block the intersection in order for me to safely proceed. That was quite telling. So I wish I got it on camera. I did not. I would have personally thanked him and asked him for his info, but it was too chaotic at the time. So at this point, we have also reached out to representatives at DEEP to gain more support across agencies involved in the matter. At the last Board of Selectmen's meeting, there was a suggestion on next steps, getting police opinions and other traffic type officials to take notice or offer opinions. So as this process moves along and our request for on-demand pedestrian signals gets forwarded to the DOT, I am hoping for more speed patrol and police presence on Southford Road in general. Can we ask the Southbury Police to make this a priority, getting drivers to slow down on this particularly dangerous stretch of road? Again, thank you very much for listening and taking this cause seriously. I'm here to continue promoting this issue and provide updates to the general public so it doesn't get lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
My name is Diane Ciano, and I'm from Plymouth, Connecticut. I'm the president of the Connecticut Horse Council. I did send emails to all of you. And just as a reminder that this is a state park, it's a state trail, and it's crossing a state road. And I think that's really important that the DOT is going to work on this. I did talk to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, and they said a letter is forthcoming and that they certainly will support a crosswalk, or not a crosswalk, but a state thing. And about a year ago, we did write to the Council of Governments, Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments, and I believe they did some type of study and sent you something at least a year ago, and we kind of reminded them again about that, so you might be hearing from them again. Okay? It's
Thank you.
really important, not just for horses, but there's babies out, there's baby carriages, there's all kinds of people, and that is a really bad crossing. And maybe you guys should try to cross it sometime, and then you'll see how bad it really is. And people do not pay attention when they're driving, and it's really important to have some type of signal out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Vivette Greenberg. I live at 344 Riggs Street in Oxford, and I ride the trail regularly. Coming from Oxford, when you approach that crossing, you come up a grade, and then there's just a very short, maybe 10 feet that you can stand on while you wait for the traffic. And when you're on a horse, that can be quite challenging at times. But I'm also pushing for that crosswalk. I am also a member of the Connecticut Equine Advisory Council, working with the DEP, and we are, like she had said about the COG, doing a report there. I know that when I talked with the DEP, they told me that this request needed to come from the town where this was, even though it was a state road, and that's why we're kind of going to you guys to talk with you about it, because it is part of Southbury. So I appreciate the support that we can get, and I think once we get that done, the state will do it, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Wirt, and I'm at 463B Heritage Village. Can you hear me through the duckbill, the mask, and my... This past Wednesday, the Planning Commission's Affordable Housing Subcommittee invited me to talk about SAHA, which is the abbreviation for Southbury Affordable Housing Alliance. And I learned from its members that the town attorney has approved the rewording of Special Act 1323 to designate the 45 acres of Southbury Training School's former personnel village as the site for multi-generational affordable housing. I also learned that if the BOS were to vote quickly in favor of the rewording and get the proposed change to our state representative, Cindy Harrison, right away, she could put this on a fast track to be voted on. Thus, this modification could be approved before the State Assembly adjourns on May 8th. Otherwise, hundreds of severely housing cost burdened folks will have to wait till next year when the Assembly reconvenes. That's another 11 months, and however many months it takes to move this through the legislature. Add to that the time it takes for the town to send out RFPs, review the applications, make a decision, and then contract with the selected lessee, then another 3 or 4 years of actually creating the affordable housing. Hundreds of people here are depending on Town Hall to get this modification to Representative Harrison as soon as possible so that affordable housing isn't delayed by another year waiting for a couple words to be changed. Their financial, physical, and well-being are in your hands, including the lives of many seniors who don't have time on their side. Thank you so much for listening and considering.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Once more, is there any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on with our rest of our meeting. First up is a presentation by Dave Patari, Hometown Heroes Banner Program. I thought it was appropriate for Dave to come to the board before we approve this, which has been 824-2 planning this Hometown Hero Banner. So Dave, if you'd like to come up and do the presentation.
Good evening. Dave Patari, Master Sergeant, retired United States Army. We had brought this program up for the Hometown Heroes. First of all, I have to apologize to the selectmen here, as the first selectman brought it up on Monday morning when he was advising me to come up and apologize. We kind of jumped the gun on this, and it went to social media last weekend, and it kind of got bigger than what we thought it was going to happen. The reason why we jumped the gun on it was due to the fact that I misunderstood Mr. Manville, and that we do have a deadline of like this weekend to get these names in, because we have to do it in groups of 10, because the company only does groups of 10. For what reason, I don't know. And we're trying to get it done by Memorial Day weekend so we can get these up. And so far we have over 10. There's about 12 people that are interested in purchasing a banner for their hero or their family member. If you look up here, it'll see this is what kind of the banner will kind of look like on the flagpoles, except we'll have the black clamps and everything will match. We've done all the groundwork on that for the hardware. You have the next slide? Let's see what this one is. Okay, no, the other one probably didn't come through, but that's all right. So we picked out a special format, and it's more or less like the one you see there on the left. And what we'll have on there is a name, their rank, their branch, and on the bottom, it'll say, like that says the Birondi family, what family purchased the banner for the hero. Now, this is only going to be for veterans. Other towns do it for emergency services, but we're just doing it right now because of the VFW. All the proceeds will go through the VFW, and we're just going to do veterans this time. And we're trying to get it done by Memorial Day weekend so we can have all these flags up. And what they're going to do is they're going to line the street. It will go the American flag, then a banner, then American flag, then a banner, and American flag, all the way up the street. And we'll continue this on every year. We'll have a maintenance fee in case any of the banners are wrecked during the storm. The company's guaranteeing them to last at least around 3 to 5 years. We're also going to have companies. So if a business out there wants to support a hero, that there's no local family members, like we have one already. The man, George Newton, who the post is named after. We already got a business that's going to support that one. And there's a few other veterans from Revolutionary War and stuff that their family members aren't around, so we're hoping that some businesses will kick in and purchase a banner for them. The next slide is just the order form. If you want to go up to the next. There you go. So like I said, it's going to be the rank, branch of service, name. If he or she was during the wartime era, then the wartime eras are up there. They can put that on if they want. They don't have to. And then the sponsor. It's $200 per banner. That includes all the hardware. So out the door, it's $200. The $200 is going to the VFW. The VFW gets $25 of that as a donation. So it helps out the VFW, and then the VFW buys the banners with that money. And like I said, so far, we got over 10 pledges, and so we're gonna try to max it out at 20. So we can go do our 2 groups, so nobody gets turned down. And once again, I gotta apologize for jumping the gun. It was basically my fault. I had talked to the first selectman last week, and I kinda understood that there shouldn't be a problem since we already went through planning and development. And so I didn't think there was gonna be a problem with the selectmen and the board of selectmen here.
So I explained that the 824 was approved by planning. I don't see any issue with that, but technically, it's the Board of Selectmen have to approve it, and I don't want to disrespect the Board of Selectmen. in their role and participating, and I certainly feel that the Board of Selectmen would want to make their feelings of, I would assume, support. And I certainly didn't want anybody being disgruntled to see it on social media and say, hey, what about me? So do you have to do it in groups of 20, of 10, or can you do, or is it 10 or more at a time?
Well, they wanted groups of 10, so it's either 10 and 20 and 30 and 40. They won't do like 15 or 12 or whatever. I just found that out
Can
today.
you let me know if Michael Hatfield's banner is spoken for or not?
No, it's not,
I'll speak
as
for
far
it.
as I know, okay.
I will speak for that banner.
If you want to do the,
I will do that banner.
all right. Well, then
I
after,
told his brother that I would make sure his brother's memory was not forgotten
Okay.
here in this town.
all right, yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to do. And for you, since you yelled at me for about an hour, it'll be $250.
I did not.
It'll be like $250 for you, so, straight up $200. I'm only kidding. So, and I really want to encourage the businesses of Southbury, because we do have a lot of veterans that were in the Revolutionary War, Civil War, and so on, and we want to get them up on the post too. A lot of our founding fathers were in the military, so.
We can also contact the Sollies. I can do that for you if the board approves this program. Sollies, because they have Revolutionary War up in the
George's
cemetery up in George's Hill.
George's Hill, is
I
that-
can get, and I'm sure they'd like to sponsor
Well,
something.
they're still, okay.
I
yeah.
can contact them.
Right, that'd be
One of
great.
them owns the Trap Factory.
Okay. That'd be great. Is there any questions? It's pretty simple.
I just have a question on some mechanics, logistics, like the brackets, the town has poles, we have flags up there now. Is that going through the town, like?
I called the Public Works. We gave him all the information. He contacted the company themselves and got the order number, and we got the pictures, and they're all black. They match what's going on there now. They're gonna fit the flagpole, all those details have been worked out.
And is Public Works gonna be installing these?
They install
town?
the flags and they'll put these up.
Right, so the town is gonna be doing this. And then my only other question, because I see that our EDC chair is here, there was conversation in the past about the banners and whatnot through EDC, and I'm just wondering if we've coordinated at all with them or spoken to them about this
EDC?
program. The Economic Development Commission.
Ann is here as the chair.
And I know in the past, there's been discussion a couple years ago at budget time about potentially implementing some sort of banner
What
program.
was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago we went?
He did come to.
That's my
he
question.
did
Okay.
Actually, give them our blessing as well.
So you guys are, okay,
We're okay with it, yeah.
great. So, yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, a great honor for the.
It looks good. It's going on in other towns. I think Seymour, Naugatuck, Waterbury, and Danbury, and then New York, really, a lot of the hamlets there, they got the banners up, and it really looks really nice. There's a lot of towns down south that are doing it now, so it's starting to go out there, just like the wreaths across America, so. And then we'll put them up from Memorial Day to Veterans Day, unless there's something else that we want to do. So we won't occupy the poles all year long, so, plus the bad weather, get them out of the bad weather.
Any other?
This is, yeah, I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I just wanted to remark that I think that this is an amazing thing. For anybody that has not attended our Memorial Day parade, it's absolutely just completely moving. And if you hear from our town historian about all of the folks from Southbury that have served in our wars, it really is moving. And I think that this is just an opportunity to let other people in town know about it that maybe haven't been to these events or heard from our town historian speak. So I thank you for your efforts in making this happen. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Was that God?
What's that?
Was that God?
That was God.
I'll take it.
That's Holly,
Funny.
remote. So, yeah, that's one of the other selectmen remote.
Right, Roger, gotcha.
God comes through us in many ways. I feel like a preacher now.
So is there any other questions? Then we're gonna try to proceed with this?
I think it's in the minutes for approval.
Okay,
Thanks
that'd
for
be
your,
great, thank you.
Thanks for your work on this and bringing it forward.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so Mr. Batari doesn't have to sit here all night. Can I make a motion to reorder the agenda and take up item K1, new business, Hometown Heroes banner program at this point in the meeting?
That's a motion. I have a second from Justin Betty. And I hear any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And nobody dare oppose. So we'll take that up next is under new, the next item would be on the agenda, a vote on the Hometown Hero banner program. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Tim? I'll second. Thank you, Tim. Any discussion on the program? I think it's wonderful. We've got a lot in front of us, so I'll call the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? It carries unanimously. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
It won't be it wasn't an hour, really wasn't. Thank you. Okay, next up is announcements from correspondence you have in front of you. Then we have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yep, motion to approve.
Thank you, Greg. Do I have a second, Tim? I'll second it. Thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it carries. Would the board be willing to, is it okay to vote to approve minutes of February 15th, 26th, 27th, and 29th in one motion?
I'll move to do that.
Yep, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Jeff, I'd just like to note that even though I wasn't physically present for the meeting on the 29th, I have reviewed the video in its entirety and feel like I
Right,
can vote.
and just for the record, people can review the meeting to vote on the minutes. You don't have to physically be there, which I appreciate what you're doing, taking the time, Justin.
I was gonna make the
It
same,
wasn't short.
I was gonna make the same notation on February 15th. I wasn't there, but I reviewed the meeting, and it was a lot shorter than the one Justin had to review. So,
But I gotta say, I mean, could hear everybody very clearly. It was, yeah, it was nice.
Good. Okay, I'll call the vote in the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And it carries. Next up is the Purchase Brook Road bid. Do I have a motion to approve so we can have any discussions?
Yep, so moved.
Do I have a second? Justin or Tim?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the bid?
Well, it's a little disappointing to see us not take the low bidder, particularly when it's a local company, but I do understand the concern expressed by the engineering company, which, there's a misspelling in that paragraph by them, going,
A misspelling?
yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, for the folks at home, basically, there's two reasons they're recommending that we not take the low bid, which is, first of all, the applicant did not identify having completed a similar project, and secondly, they did not express a dollar amount in words as well as numbers. Obviously, point number one being far more important.
Any other discussion on the bid?
I just have a question about the project. Once this bid is approved, what's our time, do we have a timetable?
Dan, what's the timetable on that start? I want to say it was next spring. Yeah,
You mean this, like next month? Like
No, no,
April,
no.
this spring?
No.
Or like 2025, okay.
yeah.
I think all the conversation that we have had was on this Purchase Brook Road, that it was going to begin this spring.
I thought.
In any prior meetings that we've had, that's what was stated.
Right.
And
Well-
why would we wait that long if we have a bid that's approved?
I don't know when this is, What's that? See if you can find that, when that's supposed to start. I don't have it off the top of my head. I have had so much going on when that's starting.
Well, my concerns are the people that are living in that area with the River Road state. If that bridge fails, those people aren't gonna have many outlets. So I was hoping that it would be on schedule.
So just so you know, we are also working on the engineering plans, and I think we're gonna have something for the next meeting ready to bring forward to stabilize that other, River Road for one-way alternating traffic. So that's still in the works, and as soon as. Jeff, it's this spring. This spring.
That's what I
This
thought.
spring, yeah. So, it'll start, and that's when we'll. Any other questions on the bid? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? And it carries. Next up is transfers, reallocating ARPA funding for Southbury Ambulance. Discussion, possible vote, and set for a town meeting. The resolution is resolved that the Southbury Board of Selectmen, upon the recommendation of the ARPA Task Force and the Board of Selectmen, hereby approves the reallocation of $240,000 of ARPA grant to the Southbury Ambulance. Be it further resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby schedules a town meeting to be held on Thursday, March 21st, 2024, at 7 p.m. in room 205 of Town Hall to act on the above reallocations. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Open for discussion. As you know, our ambulance is struggling. Not their fault, but the cost of labor for EMTs and paramedics has skyrocketed. Filling those ranks, this is operational funding to keep them up and viable through the end of this fiscal year, which pretty much closely reflects the number I'm going to be proposing they receive in a budget for, in the budget for next year. My hope is that, I know they're going to get an increase in 15% in Medicare subsidy, but that Medicare number probably needs to change. But I understand the pressures of government to just take it from this number to, let's say it was actually really needed was 25. They can't make that much of a move and balance their budgets and continue to get all the other Medicare, Medicaid operations still working. So I'm sure they know they need more, but I think this is, and we're stopgapping till hopefully the Medicare and Medicaid rates catch up to the cost of the services that they have. Tim, you look like you have a question.
No, I think the discussion on that it was a little bit less than the 240. I think it was 235, so I guess there's been some type of adjustment to
That's
the
in our
final
budget.
figure.
This is different than that. This is for this fiscal year, the 23-24 fiscal year. The ARPA Task Force met a few weeks ago, and Geraldine came and made a similar presentation that we had at the budgeting time, and went through numbers that I believe the same folks looked at, Dan and John and whatnot. The ARPA Task Force decided to reallocate this money for the 23-24. What we're talking about next, later in the meeting, is the request for 24-25, the next fiscal year for the upcoming budget.
Gotcha.
Anyone else?
I would just say that it's not just our ambulance service is struggling. It's all of them. It's statewide. It was on the front page of the Republican American last week that they were all up there in Hartford begging for more money. It's in our best interest to lift these folks up and make sure that we have the kind of response times and service that we need in this town, so.
Yeah, clearly, this is just keeping the operation running. This has nothing to do with the capital and the long-term needs. And, yeah, you're right, Justin, it's all over the state. And, you know, most of us will agree that, you know, if you've never called for an ambulance, you may not recognize, but when you have a loved one who is, or there's an accident, you want a decent response time. And we have, you know, pillars of our government are public safety, which is our police department, our fire department, and ambulance service, and public works. That's the mainstays we have to support. So if there's no other discussion, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, so it carries. Next up, we have, so there will be a public town meeting just before, it will start at 7. The Board of Selectmen's meeting will be right after that, just so the public knows that's listening what that's about at the next regular Board of Selectmen's meeting. Next up, under unfinished business, a discussion and possible vote on the budget. Just let me tell you that, one, we're supposed to have the budget to the Board of Finance by the 15th of March. We can call a special meeting for the 14th if we need to, or we can't make a decision here tonight. With that, I will let the board know that, frankly, a lot of people have been working on this because, and I'm coming up with a proposal for changes in this, for the Board of Selectmen to make the changes to go to the Board of Finance. And what my suggestion is that we add an additional amount of $185,000 to the budget for operational expenses for the Southbury ambulance. There already is $50,000 in the budget for that, so that's the $235,000 for operational expenses. Second thing, in further massaging, and I will say this again, this has been an extremely difficult budget season. And we've been handed some problems at the very last minute. So I'd also like to add in an IT assistant at $30,940. What that is about is we have a contract with a individual for a company to give us IT support 3 days a week. This person has been supporting IT and all of our infrastructure, IT infrastructure, for quite a while. The contract is $50,000 a year, which we're going to eliminate. What we are going to do, we're looking to do, is to add $30,940 to add in an IT assistant. That's what he has been doing. What that will do is give us IT assistant help from 3 days a week to 35 hours a week, full-time. Plus the benefit cost of $13,716 for that person's medical. We just, in the last 2 days, have had the uninterrupted power sources for all of our buildings. That's police, town hall, and public works. Something happened and they all went down, and they've all fried, whatever reason it is. So we're getting these hits and these problems that have to be addressed. So essentially will be a neutral from the removal of a budget that only costs us, we only got 3 days for that money for an IT person. It will give us a full 35-hour week for someone who's familiar with our system to help our IT director. We have so much IT in here now, and because of technology, it's really needed. We have constant from printers, and it goes on and on and on, and technology. So I would look to add that back in. We also got information that was solid from Sergeant Grillo that we can reduce a contract for communications that's being picked up by the new system we have, the new radio system. That will be a reduction of $48,871.40. Then I'm looking for the board to move Community House Field to infrastructure. That will be a reduction in the budget of capital of $35,666. And I've worked this with Dan, and I think Jason's also has been looking at this. Dan also has told me that, yes, he believes we can take $25,000, reduce the energy, new rates for the energy, $25,000. And we can also remove one highway employee because there's a redundancy with a road foreman. That will be a savings of $62,871. And remove the insurance for that highway employee will save $13,716 on our insurance. So adding in the ambulance, which we really need to do, add back the IT assistant into it, and the reductions and the other, the total increase is $43,531.60, and the impact to our budget is 0.19. So I'll make a motion to approve those changes in this budget. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
A second? Can we open it up for discussion, Tim?
Yep. So we did discuss community house restrooms, and I don't see any of that in this budget. I was hoping that there was going to be discussion on whether or not those restrooms could be updated, so the public has access to them. I believe Blake has been working on that.
So what I would like to do, I would like to get this motion made and seconded, approved, because I think this needs to be done. If you'd like to make a motion to discuss that, adding that in, we can next take that and we can get a second for discussion, and we can discuss that. That's okay with you?
Yep, great.
Is that okay with the board or any other? So
Just a couple of comments. First, just to clarify, when we're moving the community field from capital to infrastructure, we're putting it into the capital, based on my discussions, in the capital infrastructure plan for this year, and it's not changing the funding in that plan. So we're still doing that, we're funding it differently, and it leads to a budget savings of that $30,000 or so. The one question I had, because the new item I wasn't aware of, was the IT assistant. So we currently have how does it currently work?
it's a $50,000 contract with a company to provide this person through the contract to do this work. He comes 3 days a week. So what we're doing, it's a neutral. If you add the 30 and the 13, 40, what's that number? I can't do all that math in my head.
43?
It's what?
43?
Yeah. So it's actually, I guess it's technically a savings, right? But will give us expanded service, which, for IT, which we're experiencing because of the amount of IT that we've increased. I mean, that's everything from rolling out phones to, which has been done, but we also have cameras and switches, and we just had the UPSs go. And Dan, would you agree that this is needed in the budget?
Yeah, we spoke with David this week,
What, it's something like 305 service tickets. So that's just in service tickets, one a day. 365 days. So those are tickets that are constantly coming in for an IT service, plus the work that he, the phone systems, the computers. We had some printers jam, and they have to take them apart. They have to get the printer toner. It's neutral, but we're going to have more hours available, and the company is willing to, and the company's willing to, there's no penalty for that.
So it's an employee from the company that we currently have a contract with,
Correct.
That's my next
and
question.
we won't be spending the 50,000 for the contract for this company, but we will be expending about 43,000, 30 for the salary and 13 for the benefits. Insurance.
About 31,000 for salary and about 13,700 for benefits, yes.
It almost seems like it's an entry-level position at 30,000 for me.
It is,
I mean, I don't know how you can get somebody for $35 a week. Are they gonna be in-house, or is it gonna be remote?
no, they're going to be here. They currently come. So we've already just.
Is it the same guy
Yeah.
that we have
Yep.
now? And Dave's comfortable with changing the relationship? He thinks this
Yep.
is the way to go?
Okay.
So I'll call the vote on that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Oh, sorry, Holly. Opposed? And it carries.
I would like to make a motion to discuss,
To add to the budget an amount?
under unfinished business, for discussion of the community house restrooms. We did discuss them during our workshop with Board of Finance.
Let's just,
So I
can we,
was hoping that a discussion would come up on them, so we can get those open to the public. It's, to me, it's just a health reason, running water at least. And according to Blake, from all his,
Wait. So procedurally, what we have to do is have a motion on the floor, and we have to have it seconded. For the purposes of this meeting, we're in budget discussions and this is to make the changes and approve sending it to the Board of Finance for they make the final decisions. If they change it, they may change up or down, they may get rid of everything we said, they may add $1 million in, but I doubt it. So what I think I'm looking for here, for a motion that would add to the agenda an additional amount for.
the rehab of community house restrooms.
Right, you'd have to, and what that amount is.
120,000.
So you have to make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to rehab community house restrooms for $120,000.
So the motion, if I'm okay with, not trying to put words in your mouth, the motion is to add $120,000 to this budget for the purpose of rehabilitating community park bathroom and buildings, restrooms. That's the motion you're making, if that's
Yes,
okay.
that's
I'm not-
perfect.
Okay. It's okay, I just.
That's all right.
We do it.
I'm new at this game. You can
It's
correct
okay.
me all you
No
want. It doesn't matter.
disrespect, but I
No,
want to make
that's
sure for the
okay.
record it's done correctly. Okay, the motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it for a point of discussion.
Thank you, Justin. We got a motion made and seconded. And now we'll open up for discussion. Tim?
So, again, I would like to discuss rehabbing community house restrooms. They've been closed to the public since 2018. I'm not sure why they were closed to begin with, but the discussion did take place during Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen meetings. Blake did say that he would do a feasibility study on his own and get bids for that, and I understand that he has done that, and the figure that of $120,000 was what it would take. To
So-
have
so-
those ADA compliant, widening the doors, removing one stall, so there's easy access for wheelchair into the back stall.
Okay, so just for clarification, and I know what you're saying, but I just want to say, there were not bids that went out. This was a request for what it might cost. So I don't want the public thinking there was a bid went out and they didn't know about it, just so we know there's no bid. Okay. Anybody else?
So if it wasn't bid, where did that figure come from?
That was something that Blake worked on.
Yeah, he worked on,
Those are
he
his
called some
figures.
people and got an estimate, like what the, from a company saying, before we started, what's it gonna cost to build this bridge? What do you think it's gonna cost? It's, 1 million or 1.5 or 2. And I think Blake reached out some people and said, based on what's here, you're in the industry, what are we looking at? And that gets us to try to get to a number to work with in the budget, because we, until the bids come in, and we've had bids come in that are lower or higher, or, most of the time it's lower, because we don't want to, same thing with the pool, we've asked pool companies, what do you think we should appropriate, what should we be looking at? And, we've had pool companies saying X amount, and then we get it funded, or what would you think, and then we go out to bid. So that's like what our Public Works Director was doing.
Now, that figure is only for the 1970 addition to the barn, the front part, which is the restrooms, and then in front of that, closer to Community House Road, there's also a kitchen in there that I'm sure not many people even know that it exists. But that's also rehabbing that whole front section that was built in the early 70s. The figure that he did give me for the outside of the barn with gutters, siding, downspouts, an additional 30,000. But
This is Holly. Just a quick question. Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, go ahead.
Just a quick question. With the other, structural issues with the facility, how do those play together? Do the structural issues elsewhere need to be corrected in tandem with these upgrades? And would that, does that impact the project?
I don't believe so. I think the structural issues that we're talking about are from the original barn. I've been in the bottom portion of that barn, and it looks like there has been some structural repairs made to it. But at this point, I think we're, or at least I am, looking just to get the restrooms reopened to the public so that there's access to running water, and health and hygiene is.
Anyone else?
What are the improvements that we're
I
doing
have
there
another-
right now on Community House Field for 30-something down? We just moved.
I'm sorry?
What are we doing there at the field this year that we just moved 36,000 for? What was that for?
That was for, I think that was reconfiguration of the baseball field, yeah.
So where does,
I have another
where
question.
does this
I'm so
come?
sorry.
Wait a minute, Holly, go ahead.
As far as maintenance on this restroom, how does that get maintained? Who maintains it? Who picks up the trash? Does that, what figures go into that as far as, other ancillary costs to the town? I'm just curious if that's been explored.
I didn't, can someone tell me what that question was? I didn't,
So she's looking for a figure to maintain the inside, cleaning the inside, and I guess it would be something like Settlers restrooms that are now in operation.
yeah, I think, a lot of times we get caught up in a nice to have. There's always the need to have and the nice to have. And we love to fund the nice to haves, which is okay, in my opinion, during when we are not having this pressure we are this year. There is, I would like to know to that, because right now, because the porta potties are there, they are working, they're adequate. We have porta potties. We don't build bathrooms in Seaman Park. we don't build bathrooms, if you were to go to another park, part of the problem we've had in the past is if we open up bathrooms, we have to also put into the budget a number for winterizing them so they don't freeze up. A lot of times, we have dates put down when they have to be closed and when they have to be winterized, because that's a date. Sometimes they want them opened up earlier. The public, like some of the public other bathrooms that we have, like the community park, not community,
Settlers.
Settlers Park, thank you, Tim. We have to open them up. The porta potties are not going to have damage if they sit there earlier, and we even have times when some of the athletic groups will pay for a porta potty ahead of what our schedule is, maybe a week or a month, maybe the good weather, but we don't have the budget to put those in. So then we have to clean them. So, and how often are we gonna clean them, and who's gonna clean them? Right now, with the porta potties, they're ADA accessible. They're usable, and they're also cleaned by the provider. Dan, what's the cost for the two at Community Park?
It's about $140 a month.
140 in how many months?
We get them in April, and I think we take them out in October.
Can you do that math? 140, is that one or two? Two,
That's two.
or is it each?
No, it's two.
So two for 140 with the cleaning. And it's how many months? How many, is that a week or a month? That's
$840.
$840.
What's that 840?
That's to have the porta potty at,
The ADA porta potty, the two.
It's 140 a month?
no, $840 for the season.
Oh, I thought you said 140 a month.
Yeah. So it's a pretty significant cost, and it may be, we still don't, and then we still have to work in, I know part of the reason was we would have to clean the bathrooms, and a lot of times they need to be done twice a week, and when are you gonna do them? And then you have people coming in to clean them, where this is taken care of.
I don't see the porta potties as being sufficient for that field and the amount of attendees that are on there with youth baseball, football, Pop Warner, basketball leagues, Little Swishers. There's no running water. You may feel that the porta potties are sufficient, but in my opinion, they're not, whether they're ADA compliant or not. I can't imagine somebody trying to get into a porta potty, even if it's ADA compliant, with a wheelchair.
What is the plan for these bathrooms? Has it ever been discussed, short-term, long-term? I mean, has this something,
I think if there, I don't know what was short-term or long-term. I mean, there's also the discussion, do you take the whole building down? Do you take the building down and do you put a prefabricated, they make them, they set right there and you're done. And I don't know what those cost.
so that discussion really hasn't even been had yet. Really, what is the future? To me, that's sort of where we're at, is we're saying we have a structure that exists that has bathrooms in it, we can't use it. We've come up with a solution so that we at least provide bathrooms, which is fine, and that, can't ever be seen as anything other than at least for now, a temporary solution. Yeah, so I was kind of curious, maybe that's just where we're at, is that we really need to have a discussion about what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get the Historical Building Commission in on this, along with the Southbury Historical Society. I'm a member of the Southbury Historical Society, and I would hate to see that barn raised. It's been an asset in this community for a number of years. My mother square danced in there many, many years ago. I would also like to see the old Grange Hall accessible to the public. That, I guess, is a separate discussion to have. But we took these buildings on, and we need to maintain them, in my opinion. When you look at Community House Barn, the gutters, what little gutters there are all damaged. There's been a downspout that's been leaking on the siding of that barn for at least 12 years that I know of. And any of the rainwater that's shed off of that roof just splashes against the asphalt paving and splashes up on the siding and rots the siding. I'm just trying to see if we can do a better job maintaining the buildings that we have.
So I think, Dan, there's 12, is there money in for the envelope?
Right now, we have $12,000 in the capital plan for this.
For the envelope?
There's also another $15,000 in for a feasibility study for community house, so total about $27,000.
So I think we also would have to discuss, I mean, if that, you know, we use porta potties in a number of our parks. Is this where, I mean, we have a lot of people using Seaman Park, and are we looking to build a septic system and bathroom and drill for a well for water in that park? Are we also willing to, we have Ballantyne Park, which is used a lot, and we use porta potties at Ballantyne Park for the public over there also. So it's the same situation, you know.
Well, Ballantyne Park does have the restrooms that are open most of the year to the public. Ballantyne Park, if we want to get on that too, I'd like to see the sprinklers, the water spouts in use again. They were in use many, many years ago, and evidently they weren't winterized properly, and they're now not useful at all.
Ballantyne is not open year-round.
I'm not saying it's open year-round, I'm saying it's, Ballantyne is open, it does have restrooms, and it is open, and there's access for the public to use those restrooms.
Those restrooms are only open when the pavilion is rented. It's not open to the general public other than that.
Okay, well, that's another topic.
You know, and again, we're getting into, before we jump in on 120, adding to this budget here, we also need, I feel we need to know what it's gonna take, because we're gonna have to add that number into the infrastructure for maintenance, repair, and you're also gonna have to add into the number for, you know, just for cleaning. You can't just tell Blake, by the way, just clean those two, and, you know, he's gonna ask, well, how often, when, and if it's done on twice a week, what are we doing about the overtime?
So who does Settlers right now? Is that an outside company, or is that inside facilities?
Settlers bathroom? That's us. That's not, yeah. But you're still adding more cleaning, so that's a cost. So I always want to know what the total cost, and I've asked the question many a times. That's nice, but, you know, I feel we need to have a full cost of what, not just put it in and say, okay, well, we have to do this because we own them now. So I would look to get that cost built into the budget also. Anybody else? All right, I'll call the vote on the motion. All in favor of adding an additional $120,000 to the budget for the purposes of rebuilding the bathrooms at Community Park, signify approval by saying aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Yeah, we need more information, I think.
So 1 aye, 5 nays, it does not pass.
At our budget workshop, I think Blake said he was looking into that and was doing his feasibility analysis, and I think we gather data, continue talking about it, looking at, this is to add that kind of money now in this type of budget year, I think we need a lot more information.
We need more information, and I also think that, you know, if 120 includes reopening that kitchen, I think that should be considered separately. I think the bathrooms are critical, and no offense to our contractor, the portalets are not clean. I mean, you know it as well, Jason. We're out there on those fields, and whoever they are, they're not doing a good job. So, you know, Community House is like Ballantine and Settlers, and that is one of our 3 largest active recreation parks, and that's why there should be functioning bathrooms there, in my opinion. I agree with Tim on that. But spending a lot of money to open up another kitchen that's never gonna get used, I'm totally against it. That's why I urged us to take the snack shop out of the pool. I don't think the town should spend money on things that we don't use. We've got a kitchen over at Settlers that's never been opened.
Never
from what I
been
can
opened.
see. So, I'm all for focusing on the bathrooms, but the rest of it, I just don't see it, so.
So I think, I mean, it's a little out of order, but let's get some more information. The bathrooms will work as they always, the porta potties will work. Let's work forward in the next year to get up some real numbers and get some discussions about the future. I think Blake wanted to know what the feasibility study, what's your total picture? I can't just say, he wants to know what you're looking to do, and that will change everything that you do there, and it's hard to get a cost number unless you truly know what you're looking for. And are there alternatives for that? Okay. Is there any other motions to change anything in this budget, or is there a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen's budget and send to the Board of Finance?
Make a motion for clarification on the discussion between Public Works and Sustainable Southbury about the food scrap program.
Second.
So there's a motion on the table, open for discussion.
So there was another meeting after our last, supposedly between Public Works and Sustainable Southbury, and I'm just curious what the outcome was.
It would add, Dan?
I was in that meeting, and Sustainable Southbury has agreed to take this program on for another year as we evaluate what the full cost is gonna be. So, the only thing that they did ask is they're gonna come to the task force meeting and ask for a little bit of help with taking it off for next year. Which I said we can open that up, and when we have that, they'll come in and join the presentation.
And we should have more better data at that time.
Fair enough.
Is that fair enough?
And I'd like to thank Sustainable Southbury for taking that on, and I think one of the problems we had in this budget scenario was we only had like 6 months of data as to what's going on, and I think if we do some things to advertise the program over the next 12 months, next budget year, we'll probably have a lot more information about what the program's doing, what it's saving or not saving, and the best way to proceed.
We also want to look at haulage, because the current hauling company that's taking it is charging, I think it's $110, whereas MSW is 89. So that's in the next year, we're going to keep looking to see if there's another option for them to make it more feasible.
My understanding is some towns are looking at not hauling it, just processing it on
Yeah.
site. So
That's
that's
another option.
that's something that,
I will say, Justin, you know, I've been working on exit 15, and I'm about ready to, and we also have exit 13, which is property, but it's unusable. We'll discuss, I think, at a further date in the Board of Selectmen, what's our vision, what's a long-range strategic plan, and is there a place for fully composting and possibly composting, accepting our own? I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't want the politics to start saying Jeff wants to create a composting operation for the entire state of Connecticut. We need to talk about that, and is there a place where it's the hauling And I agree with the carbon footprint, whether you agree with it from a standpoint of the environment or just the cost of every time you put a truck on the road. How do you reduce that movement and reduce the cost and recover it on another? I do know in composting and some of the farmers that may take the final compost material, one of the things, it all sounds pretty easy, but they're very concerned about any chemicals that are used when someone says, I've got compost for sale. You can compost an old cornfield and all that topsoil, and it won't grow a bean. So they can't buy or use or get 50 yards of compost for their operation because they lose a whole season of growth. So there's a lot to be discussed about, and I agree with you, either composting at home, promoting composting at home, and promoting composting without having to truck it to, and I'm sure it costs the person a lot of money to truck it. I mean, I'm sure. So they're willing to take it on and get some more data and come up. We certainly don't want to kill it. We want to, it is the future. I was the second week in a row, my wife said, take the garbage out and take it down for the guy. And I'm like, I have 3 bags of garbage because I compost with our farm and the chickens. I see it. So, I'm going to we can go 3 weeks without having to get rid of my MSW because,
Recycle.
yeah. And if we can get a recycling center, which is part of my vision of creating down the road, not this year, not next year, but a plan of truly viable recycling center, not a makeshift, as you know, makeshift dump where we can't, talk about no bathrooms, talk about no water. We have a transfer station without anything. What are we going to do about that? And this is something we need to address. So we had that motion, we had the discussion. I guess we have a motion made and seconded on moving the budget as presented by the Board of Selectmen to the Board of Finance.
That wasn't made yet.
Can I have that motion?
Justin made another motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have I know it hasn't all been inputted, but I know you also did the numbers beforehand. Do we have the number that we're sending to them?
What's the number you put in, Jeff, the total number that you had recommended?
You want these numbers?
Just the bottom line number.
The bottom number is $43,531.60.
That'd be a great budget, but I don't think that's.
No, that's the addition to, well, that's a far cry from $990,000 request.
Total municipal budget is $23,540,669 as presented with those adjustments.
Okay, so with the reductions today, we only went up like 50,000 from where we were by adding in the 185 and funding our ambulance, which is a necessary component of all this.
Percentage increase 4.37 over last year.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And that carries. Thank you so much. This has been a long and difficult season. Up next is a discussion. I don't know how late you want to go tonight. It's only 8 o'clock, not bad. Under new business, discussion on the hiring of a police chief. We want to get this, I don't think we're ready to do anything tonight, but I think we should at least start the discussion of,
Jeff, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'd like to make a motion to add under new business, a discussion on the Southbury affordable housing and the rewording from senior only to multi-generational. I know a young lady presented that earlier today.
that just came across my desk. I have not had time to even look at it and formulate a discussion on that. I think I would ask that we could put that on the next meeting. just because we've got two more subjects here, and I need some clarification on that.
Okay, it's just, I think she did mention that the town attorney has already reviewed the rewording and has approved that rewording. Is that right, Chair?
Why don't we, there's a motion to add Saha to the agenda?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Open for discussion. As I said, I'm not, at this point, I'm not ready to add this to the budget. I would be prepared for the next meeting. I don't think it's a critical thing tonight,
Is that, what is that, the 21st? Would that work?
next March. Or
March
not,
21st?
next, second
It is
meeting.
March.
Not next March.
Yeah, it's the 21st,
Yeah, it'd be the 21st.
And the legislature's in session until May 8th.
May 8th, so I think that'll give us some time anyway.
Yeah,
I certainly wouldn't be prepared to make any action. I don't have any information on it tonight. But I do think we should have it on the agenda and address whatever the issue is and
Okay.
talk about it then.
Next time.
yeah, one of the clarifications I'm going to need from the change, the clarification is this okay for affordable housing, or is this a change to recommend multi-generational subsidized low-income housing? Those are completely two different things, and I'm going to ask that they give me clarification on that. What I'm reading in the memo right now, when I quickly briefed it, and I haven't had a chance to go upstairs, is clarification. If you're talking about changing it to low-income, multi-generational housing, I think we need to have some public input. That's not like, is it affordable housing? They can be approached, the state can be approached, anybody can approach them and say, I want to build an affordable housing 830G here at affordable housing rates. We really have nothing to say about it. But subsidize affordable housing, subsidize low-income housing is a different thing. Are you looking for, that's the things we need to vet out on this.
Yeah,
So
I don't believe that's what it is, though, but
we need
the
to clarify.
21st is fine.
Yeah.
I'll just, you just said one thing about if it was this, you'd want public input. I just want to make my position clear. I want public input on no matter what it
Yeah.
is. Like, when this went through many, many years ago, various boards were involved, and there was lots of public input to get it the way it is. So I think we need to follow some process there.
Okay, I think I will ask for a motion to table until the next Board of Selectmen's meeting on March 21st. Will you make that motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion. I'll retract my motion for adding the affordable housing to new business.
Justin, you're okay?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we'll put it on the next agenda. Okay. Hiring a police chief, we need to, I mean, obviously, we've been very busy with budgets, and the next thing is we need to get on to the process of hiring a police chief, along with some other mechanical things that are gonna have to happen. We are shooting for a July 1st. My concern, that we thought we were gonna go to the, out to the police chief, chiefs of police. I have sent out the contract. Everybody get that? I know, Jason, you had, I'm not sure if I put it. So, all right, so I'll get that out to everybody. The problem I'm having with the contract is, there's a clause in there that says, if you sign the contract, you are obligated to hire their recommendations, from their recommendations. And we talked about keeping control of this. So I'm not so sure that is something we want to do, but I can get it out there. I am looking, we're thinking that we I'm in the discussions with some other chiefs of police in different departments to, what I think we're looking for is help guiding us through the process and what questions to ask. And I think a preliminary committee that could be made up of Dan, Colton, and fiscal because of the cost and making sure we have, the question, fiscal. I would look for our head of HR, Claire, to be involved. Myself on the Board of Selectmen as a Republican. Someone, either Justin or Tim, as a representative of the other side. A member of the public, which I would like to, I'm throwing out if we approach John Norris, who was on the original committee, and his concerns about, over expansion and whatnot. Maybe one or two people who volunteer as chiefs. Who else did we have that on that, Bonnie? Forget that list if I don't have it. I'd like to circulate that list, and from that will be the preliminary screening of the applications. We'll have get a job description that would be approved by the Board of Selectmen. We will get a job description approval, what the contract would look like, so we know what that is, and then put this group together to take the initial applicants, get them sorted out. There may be some there from, I get applications from Egypt on some, believe it or not, and I'm like, okay. But you'll get applicants and thin that out to what we're looking for criteria. The final interviews, after that's gone through HR and all the group and us, then we would have a Board of Selectmen, the 6 of us, would formulate an interview the final, to be determined, but say 5 applicants that for final discussion with them about who to hire. Is that,
Yeah, I'm not sure if I heard it on the committee that you're proposing the Board of Selectmen put together. I think there should be a law enforcement professional on that, either a current chief, retired chief, too. That's fine. Or like, someone, or a
so
couple
I'd
people
also like
involved.
to have Heritage Village, he's a retired chief, he's security at Heritage Village, chief,
McKenna,
yeah.
nice guy.
I don't know, so I just want to make sure that's involved. So that makes sense to me. So the Board of Selectmen, as I understand it, would approve a job description. We go out, we get applications in. I think the number of applications we get is really going to guide the rest of this. If you get 100 or you get 5 is really going to sort of change where we are. You're going to have a preliminary screening committee. I think the board should vote on those names based on the ordinance we passed. And then some number that we decide is going to come back to us for final interviews where the entire board will be there, interviewing everybody and coming up to a determination and hiring the police chief.
Yeah.
That's what I understand they were going to do.
Yeah, McKenna, and we're already reaching out to some other police, and there's actually some I wasn't sure how the chiefs other law enforcement would react to us asking for help and not signing the contract. I don't know, and I will get the contract out to everybody to look at, but I'm really uncomfortable. I'm not blaming them because there's a history of why that happened that was explained to me, and I said, okay, I understand why you would want that, but that doesn't mean that's the direction we've gone. But at least one working chief, if not 2, to go through the initial.
I think, I think we can reach out to that association and see what other sort of help they might be able to provide. But that was concerning to me too. It said if we recommend, if we screen like resumes or whatever, you have to pick from whatever we do, and it sort of eliminates any local input into that process. But they may be able to provide other services about assisting with the interviews and criteria or whatnot and things like that. And then I'll just mention, on the Police Services Study Committee, we had Chief McAllister from Naugatuck that was involved, and he was very active, and I'm sure he'd be happy to be involved in our process here. So that's someone I think we can reach out to.
So I've already started, Bonnie's already reaching out to these departments, gathering interested parties. I think the good part is that some of these people we're reaching out to truly understand our community and community policing, and what we're trying to accomplish. And I certainly, former Chief McKenna he understands, regardless of what his role used to be, he understands the Senior Heritage Village role in and how it affects them. And I'm sure he would bring that information too. Thank you. Sorry, thank God for my assistant. So we need a job description, job posting. We are gonna need an MOU with the state on the transition. Approval of all the above for the Board of Selectmen. We're gonna need a solid date for the transition to occur, work backwards from that step, and make that happen. We are running into a little, it gets a little more complex as we get into this. Everybody thinks it's so simple, but it's never really is in government. It's important because the PD needs to complete their Tier 1 and Tier 2 accreditation for an independent PD before the conversion. So there's a lot of stuff that has to go along. So I'm going to caution the board. I think we said we'd like to get this done by July 1st of fiscal year. We don't want to do it wrong for the sake of August 1st instead of July 1st. We don't want to.
Jeff, can I suggest also that Bill Ryan be on one of those committees as well?
Yeah. I'm looking for first selectman, myself, one of the selectmen from the Democratic side, Dan Colton, Finance and Human Resource Administrator Claire Morris, Town Human Resources Attorney Bill Ryan, member of Police Service Study Committee. I'd like to see if John Norris would be on it. Naugatuck Chief of Police as an advisor and non-voting member of the Police Services Study Committee. We've reached out to Reading Chief of Police, Chief O'Donnell. I'm told he's very enthusiastic. He's excited, which is nice. And also a representative from Heritage Village Management, former police chief. And then go to, once that is done, and the finalists would be interviewed just by the Board of Selectmen. That's the framework of that. Connecticut Police Chief's contract, like I said, it would mean we'd have to sign a contract, and if they recommended these people, we're contracted to approve one of them. And I'm not so sure we would want to do that, so I'll get that contract so you can see it. All right, so we're working on that, and I don't think we need to do anything tonight. But by next meeting, I think we'll probably have that part mapped out and ready. Sound okay?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Charter Revision Committee, I know everybody everybody, we're not dire, we're not, I just want to say this. What I really would prefer not to see is the presidential election become a political thing on the charter revision. I really want to make sure that we're not voting on a charter revision at a presidential election and letting politics at the presidential level interfere with the work we do, which we generally focus on Southbury. And I think it very easily could interfere. But I think we will be looking for a committee. I can't expect you to be here tonight to tell me what you think. I can get that information out for the next board meeting about how it was structured before. And I don't really know we need to put names next to them, but how it was structured, and what the time frame they were to work on it. It generally takes, what does it take, a year?
It takes as long as you want it to take. So what, I think the first thing we need to do is identify the ballot date. And I agree with Jeff, I do not think we should go to ballot on a local question during a national election year. So I think the ballot date should be November 2025, and then you sort of work backwards from there. So someone should be able to put together, usually the town clerk puts together a timeline, and then you can see sort of the benchmarks of, you know, if we vote to form a committee, then you have so many days to actually populate the committee, and then they have so much time to do whatever they're going to do. But it's up to the Board of Selectmen when we want to hear back from them, but there'll be an end date. If it's November 2025, the last possible date would be like July 2025. They'd have to have a report to us. But we should figure out that timeline and when we want to go to ballot. I think it'd be kind of hard anyways, right? You could form one and have like a 3-month commission and go to ballot this November, but personally, I don't like putting local questions on a presidential election ballot because those are not local voters usually that, you know, or understand the charter stuff. That's just my personal opinion.
Am I misremembering that we need to make a change to the charter in regards to our independent police force?
I think through ordinance.
I don't think so. Because the charter says,
I think it, I'll let you pull that up.
we could talk about it at the next meeting. We've looked at that. The charter has some language that says you're going to have the resident state trooper program, something like that, until the Board of Selectmen, a referendum determines some other way, which we did. That's why we had the referendum question, and we came up with that with the town attorney.
If the board could look at that, everybody should do their own research on the town charter on that. And, I think that's what it was. Jason almost has it.
Yeah, it says the first selectman shall be the chief of police until a method of administering the police force independent of the resident trooper program is established by the Board of Selectmen and referendum in accordance with the general statutes. So we had a referendum, and now we're having Board of Selectmen. The charter doesn't require the resident state trooper program. It's just, it leaves open the option that we can move from that. But when they do the charter revision, they'll change that section to, you know, mirror what we currently have.
And I think by that time, we will have that settled, and the language could be into the charter that will take care of the rest. Okay, anybody else on that hiring, chief, police chief? Okay, next is, I'm sorry, charter revision. That was the charter revision. So more to come next meeting. First Selectmen's report. Town phones and security cameras have been installed. completed, the project completed for both our upgraded phone system and new security cameras in all the town buildings. These projects bring increased efficiency to our municipal business and an added level of security for our employees and visitors. We continue to evaluate additional areas that may benefit from additional cameras. Shout out, especially, congratulations to the Pompey High School Unified Sports Program. Special Olympic recently visited a Pompey High School Special Assembly to designate the Pompey High School Unified Sports Program as a nationally recognized Special Olympics Unified Champion School. The banner presented that day symbolizes the school's long-term dedication to unifying students. Pompey High School students, coaches, and faculty have earned this exclusive Special Olympics designation by creating an inclusive environment that intentionally promotes meaningful social inclusion to create an accepting school environment, collaboration, engagement, and respect for all our students and staff. And thank you. Another topic, Connecticut DOT upgrades exit 14. Again, it's been ongoing for years. The town has received many inquiries regarding the trees marked for removal on Main Street South at exit 14. The tree removals are part of the State of Connecticut DOT highway and state road project designed to improve safety and traffic flow at that busy intersection. The project includes adding new dedicated turn lanes, crosswalks, as well as replanting plan. The replanting plan can be found on our town website. I just want to let the board know also that when this was all proposed, I requested that DOT, and I told the town would be willing to pay for this, that there be a conduit, an empty conduit line buried underground to cross 172, should someday we extend our streetscape on the other side of that we don't have to dig that road up to put conduit under. And they were like, oh, that's a good idea. I said, yeah, let's just an empty conduit across there so that we can continue our streetscape should that corner property ever be developed, and we can continue it down and not have to dig that road. I really don't want to dig roads back up. And just for information, we also are planning on doing Main Street after that's finished. And we don't want to do that until that's, and the trucks are off and all that equipment. So next, there's a spring extravaganza due to the success of our enhanced tree lighting celebration. My office, hats off to Bonnie Rado, my office has been working with Park and Rec Department and other organizations to expand our spring egg hunt, to which is now called the Spring Extravaganza. And for the public and everybody here, I don't know, we're gonna have to put this out because somebody's gonna miss this. This enhanced event includes spring arts and crafts, a sensory-friendly hour, which has been very successful for those with sensory difficulties, children. Photo opportunities for children, families and children. A food drive to benefit our Southbury Food Bank. And in addition, we'll also have the popular candy hunt. The event's new location will be at the Southbury Park and Rec building and neighboring Pompey Elementary School. Please see our website for details. That's because it's being expanded and we need, I think, room inside for some of the programs. So it's, again, what you call the spring egg hunt is the extravaganza, which will be at Park and Rec, not at Ballantyne. So we're being more inclusive and expanding that. I did attend, last week I attended our Senior Center Mardi Gras celebration. I'm going to be a little embarrassed here, but the program included a delicious dinner and a traditional Mardi Gras cake with a hidden gummy bear baby. For dessert, the lucky person who received the cake Slice won a $25 gift certificate to the bakery of Southbury. Very talented Jose Paulo provided the entertainment for dancing, although I may have gotten a little more involved than I should have. Kathy Anderson, our senior center coordinator, reported that our seniors really got a kick out of me joining in the fun. Thanks for our volunteers and sponsors at Mardi Gras 2024. There I am. So I don't know if we want to play the whole thing, but I was asked to join in, and next year we'll invite all the board down there to participate. But it was a wonderful time. Thank you, Betsy. It was a wonderful time, and it was enjoyable to be down there. The food is phenomenal with this with the person. He's a driver, but he's a caterer, and he puts, it's phenomenal food. So with that, we'll do reports from liaison.
One question I just want to clarify. Did you say earlier that Blake will be here at the next meeting with discussion on River Road?
Yeah, we'll have River Road, we're gonna have River Road. I think we're gonna have a plan. Dan likes, like,
I think it might be better to have Farnham Engineering as well.
Sure,
yeah,
that'd be great.
yeah.
They're the
engineering-
ones who did the engineering and.
Right, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to lead people on hopeful, but I think we're going to have a solution to at least get one lane open. It's going to be critical. It's going to require some money and some funding, but I think the engineering will get there. So we'll have that I'm sure will be at the next meeting. Tim, I would like to, I will like to appoint you to the Park and Rec Commission as a liaison. If you could do that for us, and that will work in with the bathrooms and a vision. That's their vision. As we just liaisons, we bring it back to what they're looking for. We don't try to tell them what to look for. We want to make sure, be clear, we're not members of the commissions. We are only liaisons to the commissions to bring that information back. Justin?
Economic Development Commission has not met, but the director did send me an update tonight. There was, Jeff, as you know, a ribbon cutting for the new art gallery in the Heritage Village commercial area. Pretty well attended. The new fitness studio where Rev used to be, Max 365, opened up on Friday. Southbury Storage opened up another one of their new structures that's been under construction. Everybody's favorite, Senor Ponchos, is celebrating 35 years in business this month, so cheers to Andy and his team. We have the third small business seminar coming up. It is on March 13th, so next week, and it is on business planning and financing. There's no fee, but you do need to register, so if you have interest, please go to the town's website and get in there. It's too bad John left because, interestingly enough, Michael's Jewelers is returning to town and taking a space in the Southbury Green. We wish them well, obviously, and he ends with a teaser. There's a major retail store announcement coming soon.
Ooh.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Teaser. IPOC has not met since our last meeting. Strategic planning has not met. Pool oversight met this morning and did unanimously agree to send the plans out for bid. So hopefully we'll have those back in about 6 weeks or so. Following up on last meeting, you asked me to take a look at what our neighbors are doing in regards to live streaming and videoing of their town meetings. Oxford is currently doing Board of Selectmen, Planning and Zoning, and their Board of Ed, sort of a mishmash of Zoom. I think there's some Vimeo in there. They're using the OWL, which we're familiar with. The first Selectman's assistant did note that they are out to purchase a new system, and their goal is to stream everything, which they hope to do later this year. Newtown is also streaming and archiving on their site. They're doing Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Ed. Selectmen's assistant there let me know that while they are using a vendor to facilitate that, it is the son of one of their board members. So it's a pretty discounted situation. It's a young guy apparently fresh out of school. Brookfield, probably the most comprehensive and best laid out website. They're doing Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Ed. First Selectman's assistant reports that she does take on the beginning of the meeting. They have a very basic 3-button system to start it. Apparently their IT guy logs in to make sure everything's working, and that's how they do it. Middlebury is currently just streaming their Board of Selectmen as well as planning and zoning meetings. And for folks that haven't checked out our website, we are basically doing all of our elected boards at the moment except for finance. So that's what is going on out there.
So I think with what you're telling me, I think what we could do is start streaming Board of Finance. That's another problem.
We just
Yeah.
need to find a kid so we can get Betsy home.
We're finding a kid. Okay. Jason?
The only meeting I've had since our last meeting was the ARPA, which we already talked about, and we did a transfer on the ambulance. So that's all I have.
Greg?
Energy Task Force is the only group that met this month, and they're moving forward with their solar project. Basically got blessing from Board of Finance, and I think Chuck should be talking to you about getting on the agenda to present to Board of Selectmen as well.
Who's this?
Energy Task Force?
Oh,
Chuck,
yeah.
Chuck Liddy. So that's it. Really looking forward to them presenting. They put a tremendous, I say it every time, they put a tremendous amount of effort, time, and a lot of knowledge behind this project, doing a carport project for police cars. So hopefully we'll hear from them soon.
Tim?
Yes, the Conservation Commission met on February 22nd. There was a discussion on placement of 2 benches around some parks. Bennett Park, there was also a discussion on erosion of Pomperaug River banks. They had a discussion at Janie Pierce Park. There was work being done on one of the sections of the trail that goes around the pond. They also discussed hand-pulling the water chestnut. The contractor that we have, the Pond and Lake Connection is the name of the contractor. He provided a year-end report for the treatment of invasive species, and they're currently treating the pond with aquatic herbicides to treat for curly leaf pondweed, water chestnut, and fanwort. Like I said, there's 4 treatments total a year. They also treated Shorts Field for Japanese knotweed. There was a small section there that's started up. Pond and Lake also recommended setting up an outreach program to achieve early detection of these invasive species, and also recommended introducing signs so people can identify these species if they're found on site. April 13th from 10 to 12, the Conservation Commission and the Southbury Land Trust are having a park cleanup event. It's well attended every year. If anybody has the time to do it, they just go around and pick up garbage at various parks and conservation parks. Community Relations Task Force met last night. There was a roundtable discussion with about 15 to 16 organizations. It was very well attended. This discussion was very fruitful. The mission is to open up areas of communication between various groups and organizations so that we have a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. They are meeting quarterly with this roundtable, and the next meeting is May 22nd. And they're also trying to put together a community calendar with all the organizations that attended on what events they're having. So it was a good discussion.
Good. That's it?
That's it. Motion to adjourn.
Selectman Sullivan, are you still on the line? Holly, are you still on the line?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Sorry for the delay. Just had to unmute myself.
That's okay.
So, yeah, Board of Ed did meet. They met on March 11th. Much like us, they've been deeply embroiled in budget discussions. So that's certainly the heavy lift of their time of year right now as well. They did have their superintendent's report, and there was a great conversation about the upcoming production of Wonka, which is being put out soon. So, but again, the bulk of it in budget.
Okay, thank you. Justin, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Tim is second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.